Title: During our divorce hearing, my wife smirked. I'm taking 70% of your millions, including your dad's estate. Start: The courtroom erupted until I stood, handed the judge a 2-page document and said, "Check again." The judge looked at my wife and burst out laughing. She smirked before she even sat down, a small, satisfied curl of her lips, sharp enough to slice whatever was left of my patience. The courtroom was cold, polished, echoing with whispers and shuffled papers. But the moment she leaned toward her lawyer and whispered, "He doesn't know what's coming," the air turned electric. She thought she'd already won. Then the judge asked her to speak, and she rose with the confidence of someone who believed my silence was stupidity. "I'm requesting 70% of his assets, including the inheritance from his father's estate," she said. A gasp tore through the room. I didn't react. I only watched her, calm, still, almost invisible. Exactly the version of me she always underestimated. There was a time I loved her loudly, openly. We built our home together. My hands, her dreams. I trusted her with every decimal in my accounts, every password in my phone, every weakness in my armor. She used to tell people I was too trusting. I called it devotion. She called it convenience. The shift happened slowly, like rust forming under paint. Late nights with friends, sudden coldness, the scent of a man's cologne in her car, sweet and unfamiliar. But I kept holding on. You do that when you believe someone is yours. Until the day I found her laughing on the phone, telling someone she'd hit the jackpot of idiots. I didn't confront her. I learned from her. Quiet, calculated, hidden in plain sight. That was the moment something inside me snapped into clarity. The real betrayal unfolded in a folder I wasn't supposed to see. Her emails, her lawyer, her lover. A plan laid out with surgical detail. Drain me financially, file for divorce, claim my father's estate, an estate filled with artifacts and land he spent his life preserving. They assumed I'd react emotionally, explode, beg, break. But they forgot who raised me. My father taught me life's coldest lesson: never strike back in anger. Wait until the world believes the enemy has already won. Then end them. So I closed her laptop quietly and started digging. First, a forensic accountant. Second, a private investigator. Third, a quiet meeting with my estate attorney, my father's old friend, the only man my wife never bothered to notice. Over 3 months, I rebuilt my world silently. I transferred every liquid asset into a trust she legally had no claim to. I froze all jointly accessible funds, citing security concerns. I moved my father's estate under a foundation, pre-approved, airtight, irrevocable. She thought my quietness was defeat. She had no clue it was reconstruction. Meanwhile, the PI collected footage, documents, phone recordings, enough evidence to expose her affair, her financial manipulation, and her intent to commit inheritance fraud. I didn't need to humiliate her. I only needed to win. But life sometimes gives you both as a package deal. The divorce hearing was her stage. She arrived in a designer dress I paid for, holding a bag I also paid for, smiling with lips another man had kissed the night before. She sat across from me like I was prey. Her lawyer smirked too, which made the moment sweeter. "Your Honor," she said, "my husband has significant assets that I believe I am entitled to. He inherited millions upon his father's death. I played a major role in his career and supported him financially, emotionally." I nearly laughed. Emotionally? She hadn't supported me emotionally since the day she found someone else to text at 2 a.m. The judge glanced at me, eyebrows raised. "Mr. Hale, do you have a response?" I stood slowly. I didn't look at her, let her drown in anticipation. I pulled a 2-page document from my folder and handed it to the judge. "Your Honor," I said calmly, "before we proceed with her claims, I believe this will clarify ownership and intent." The judge read the first paragraph. then the second. His expression cracked. He looked up at my wife, then at her lawyer, and then he laughed, an honest, stunned laugh that echoed through the courtroom like a verdict. Her face drained. The judge turned to her slowly, still smiling. "Mrs. Hale, it appears you have claimed ownership of assets that legally do not belong to your husband. They belong to a charitable foundation created before you filed for divorce. A foundation protected by state and federal law. You cannot touch it." Whispers erupted. Her jaw trembled. "And," the judge continued, flipping to the second page, "this evidence clearly establishes your extramarital affair. Under our Justice Code, this invalidates your request for majority assets and entitles Mr. Hale to file counterclaims." Her lawyer froze. She blinked rapidly, like reality was glitching. "No, no, this isn't. He can't." Her voice cracked into panic. I finally looked at her. "You plan to take everything," I said quietly. "You forgot one detail." She swallowed, terrified. "I don't lose." The judge dismissed her claims entirely. She received nothing from my father's estate, nothing from my trusts. And with evidence of her fraud, she owed me damages. Her lover didn't show up afterward. Of course he didn't. Parasites scatter when the light hits. She tried calling me that night, 27 times. I didn't answer. Some wars are won by silence. Now, when I walk through my father's land, his fields, his orchards, his legacy, I feel nothing but calm. She wanted to take what wasn't hers. She wanted to break me. But revenge isn't rage. Revenge is precision. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I didn't chase. I simply stepped aside and let her run straight into the wall she built for me, and I watched it collapse on her instead. Cold? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. Because in the end, the truth is simple. She tried to destroy me for wealth. I destroyed her with the truth.